Hi, I'm Tim Hungerford. Recently I did a webinar on remotely managing fraud during a crisis. I hope you'll enjoy it. So let's talk about, the traits that you need to have as an auditor in a crisis mode. And a lot of these are general things and that we're talking about in internal audit now. Being proactive, using data analytics and continuous monitoring, which we're going to talk about a little bit in data queues. But whatever you've got going now, leverage that plus potentially add some things to it so that you'll be able to be very proactive, but then be very flexible. You're got to be agile in your assessment. So as you're determining things, use the knowledge of operation and be able to adjust the current audit plan or whatever you're working on to add these areas that pop up through your proactive data analytics. And as Richard Chambers says, we need to operate at the speed of risk. So some of these risks will change through this crisis process, and we may have to expedite our coverage of certain areas that we weren't expecting to do before. So that's where we need to be flexible. But one of the biggest things that we can do as an internal audit during crisis is really stay connected with our network. Not only our network of other internal auditors out there, but mainly that internal network that we have with our company. This is the time when you really need to communicate with your connections within the company to find out what's going on, how things have changed, where some of these controls may have shifted or this process, where some of the stresses are. So you got to stay in contact with your intercompany connections and be that liaison for the internal audit department that will help bring some of these problems out, and then they can be addressed. One of the other things I'm sure you're already finding right now is that friendly persistence. So basically, you've You've got to follow through with people. You've got to keep on the trail of finding things, but you've got to do it in a friendly way, as everyone out there is dealing with some sort of stress during this process. So that's why I say friendly persistence, because you don't necessarily want to be known as that annoying auditor that they don't reply to, but you still got to follow up when they don't reply to you when you need to. Uh, Finish the process of whatever you're auditing. And finally, coaching teams is really important as opposed to solutioning. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty old. I've seen the S&L crisis in the 1980s. I've seen all the preparation we had for Y2K, the Enron crisis, the 2008 financial crisis, but all that time period, I've never seen a pandemic before. So how I'm experiencing, how I'm seeing it is very different than how other members of my team or my clients are experiencing it. So you have to step back and be more of a coach and realize that everybody brings some sort of solution and perspective to the table. And it's not so much an edict and a directive anymore, as much as teaming with that audit group that you've got, and realizing that there are outside factors and things have changed so much that a young staff might bring a perspective that you may not have seen as a seasoned veteran. So coaching becomes very important as opposed to solutioning. So those are kind of the key audit traits that you want to have as an auditor in a crisis.